Hi, so it's Misha here in the MK Workshops, and I am just going to talk about the differences between the four-legged chameleon and the two-legged chameleon. First of all, talk about the similarities. So the the E flat key and the G sharp key on both the four-legged and the two-legged are actually exactly the same. There's nothing revolutionary about these keys. These are just keys that you find on all kinds of woodwind instruments. Quite common to have an E flat on the pinky, or an E flat on the right hand pinky, a G sharp on the left hand. So yeah, that's they are both the same on the four-legged and on the two-legged. So what about the differences? Well, the differences are really that the the holes on the back on the four-legged have got these two extra keys. So when we put our thumb down on the back of the two-legged, so if you look and you see, this is, let's see if we can get that to focus. So the position of my thumb there, which might typically be for lots of players, might typically be kind of between the first and the second fingers. On this we're sliding it down between the second and the third, and the hole kind of appears basically kind of midway between those two holes, possibly just marginally towards the second hole, the second finger hole. And that means that basically our thumb needs to adopt a slightly, to cover that hole, it needs to adopt a slightly different position on the back of the instrument. And yeah, that at first feels a little bit unnatural, a little bit unusual, but if you if you rotate your hand very slightly, it becomes much more natural. And over time, with a bit of practice, what you find is actually you start to pick up the instrument with your thumb in that position anyway. It's just at first it does not feel very natural. What are the benefits of that? Well, the whistle generally, I think one of the great things about the whistle is being able to just play notes, bend notes, put in ornamentation, because you have the direct contact with the with the hole. If you with all the holes on just simple tin whistles. So if we take like a saxophone or a classical flute or something like that, with all the mechanics, it becomes a lot more cumbersome, and it becomes quite restrictive in terms of the ornamentation that we can play, that we might do in more folk and world-based musics, where we're just, that extra connection with the instrument is super valuable. So that's the benefit, I guess, with having direct thumb contact on the back hole. Now, you know, you can get a roll of sorts. Now, I've not completely perfected that A flat roll yet, but that's really me that's limiting that, not the instrument. So you can get things. You can start to play rolls which are, you know, incredibly awkward if you're kind of doing half holing or anything like that. It's definitely possible with this, with the thumb hole on the back, to do that. You can do the same with the four-legged, but you're just missing that direct contact with the the hole on the back. So yeah, that's the basic difference. Now, of course, if you have the key on the back, the position that you can put your thumb on there, so let's see if you can, have we got focus on that? Yeah. And the position, your thumb can be anywhere on there, on that key. It's a long key. Sorry, it's got a little testing number dot on it there that we use for identifying the keys. But that thumb can effectively, because the key's so long and it's just one big lever, the thumb can effectively go anywhere on that back key. So yeah, when you initially pick this instrument up, the four-legged, with its two back keys, and you start to play it and get used to all the additional notes that you've got, with the four-legged, you're going to find that you don't have some of the ergonomic issues that you have initially with the two-legged. Now, with practice, those ergonomic issues disappear on the two-legged, but initially the four-legged is going to be much more comfortable to play. So that allows you just to focus on getting the fingering patterns to get the extra notes. So I'm saying that because, you know, all your scales, so your D scale, so your D scale is there, but to start playing in a different scale, so that's your E flat scale. To be able to play that, you really need to start learning the different fingering patterns. And if you've been playing the whistle for years, decades, you're going to take a little bit of work to get your mind around what the additional notes, how your fingers relate to the additional notes. But when you do, you're going to have, you know, 3 times more scales, a whole kind of list of additional modes and keys that you can play in. But I'm saying, you know, there's a bit of practice involved to make use of that. Now, the holes that we have on any D whistle are still there on this. So those 6 holes there are still there. So we can still pick this up and put our thumbs on the back and play the scales that we've always been able to play, and all the ornamentation and all of that. So there's no downside really in that respect. It's all there. We can pick this up, particularly with the four-legged, where we're literally just going to pick this up, put our thumbs on the back, and the keys are closed with the instrument rested on the keys, on the thumbs, and we can just play, you know, like we normally would in any key or scale that we can on any other low D. So with the two-legged, that's a little bit more challenging because we need to change our thumb position to cover those holes. We do have plugs that go into the back holes, so we can plug those if we want to, and that allows us just to play it completely like a low D. But then obviously the plugs might make us lazy in terms of getting comfortable with the position of that back hole, where, you know, we need to spend a bit of time with that thumb slid down the back of the instrument to get used to it, and the plugs, you know, remove the kind of the need to do that every time we pick up the instrument. So it might slow things down a bit. There's different ways of looking at that, of course. So yeah, to recap, I think this is they're both great in lots of ways. They both extend what we can play on a low D whistle. It's a key system that we're going to take to other keys. So anything you learn, a key system that we're going to take to other keys of whistles. So we're working on an F version of this. So the fingering patterns that we learn on this low D will be transferable onto an F or potentially an A or a G or whatever else we make in the future. So in lots of ways, the earlier that we start getting our heads into this key system, the better, because all of those skills are going to be transferable. We'll also say, you know, anything you learn on a four-legged is transferable to a two-legged, in that the fingering patterns are the same. So it's not any different for me to play the fingering pattern of like a chromatic scale there on a four-legged as it is on a two-legged. Yeah, exactly the same fingering patterns, just that the four-legged allows us to have a slightly different, to move the thumb around to wherever we'd like to have it. So yeah, that's just really a brief introduction without going into the actual the notes and the scales and the fingering patterns themselves. But that just speaks to the differences between those two. I know a few people have asked us to elaborate a little bit on what are the differences, and that is pretty much a quick summary of that. I will say we do have on the website an offer for if you really are unsure between the two, that you can buy from us a demo instrument, and that allows you, that basically is a two-legged Chameleon. We will send that to you. You can try that for a month, 2 months, 3 months. That's really the kind of time scale, 3-4 months that it's going to take to start feeling that you're getting used to that two-legged with practice. And if you really don't get on with it, then we can replace that with a four-legged, which will kind of ease the pressure on the thumbs a bit. But I think that if you stick with it and you're prepared to put the time in, then I think you will get to the point that you will find that it's just second nature. When you pick up the two-legged Chameleon, your thumbs just feel absolutely fine on the two back holes. The one thing I will say is that if you're a very occasional kind of low D player, or an occasional whistle player, and you're coming from a background of whatever, jazz or classical music, and you're just, or authentic world music, or just from a different genre, and you're an occasional whistle player, then I think possibly the four-legged, there would be more of a case for considering a four-legged, because you may not have the practice, you may not have the time to commit to practicing a two-legged round and round and round to get it to really feel comfortable, and to make it feel kind of second nature. So if you're on the other side, if you're a whistle player who just plays a lot of whistle, and that's your main instrument, and you're looking for something that can just extend the range, and you're looking for a whole kind of world of new possibilities in terms of composition and experimenting with ornamentation, then I would say that the two-legged is really there's a much stronger case for learning to play a two-legged. It really does offer you so much more than the standard low D, standard whistle, and it's there's not really any downsides beside it costing a bit more. But I think, you know, by the time you look at what you the range of keys that you can play on a Chameleon versus the range of keys that you can play on a normal whistle, and on the number of whistles that you need to get, the economics start to make you know, this economical arguments start to look a little bit different. So yeah, so overall I think that's a bit of a summary, hopefully not too long. If you have any questions arising from this, do let us know. Yeah, I'm excited to see how you guys get on learning these.